Good evening. We are back to study the Spirits book. Last week, you started Influence of Spirits in Life Events. I believe you did questions 525 and 526, which are questions of Kardec addressing the spirits. We have to remember that going back to that time, it was all a learning experience. So Kardec wanted to know how the spirits would influence us on our daily lives in terms of material aspects of our daily lives and spiritual aspects. So the questions are very, he starts asking if the spirits have any influence, and the spirits tells us that yes, they give us advice, but they can never overstep the laws of nature. And as spirits can act over matter, we know through the physical phenomena, and of course spiritism started with the physical phenomena, the turning tables and the raps and noises here in New York, this New York State, right, with the Fox Sisters. So you discussed, right, a little bit of how the spirits can influence, but they cannot break the natural laws, and they cannot interfere with our free will, right? So yes, they can inspire, they can cause things to happen, but we have our free will, and we are also guided by protecting spirits that will try to help and assist us. Okay, so we start on 527.
Shall I?
Yep, please, Philip.
Let us take another example in which the natural state of matter does not intervene. A man is destined to be killed by lightning. He is caught in a storm and seeks shelter under a tree. The lightning strikes the tree and he dies. Have spirits made the lightning bolt strike to kill this specific person? The explanation of this case is the same as in the previous example. Lightning strikes the tree at this particular moment because it was in accordance with the laws of nature. Lightning was not made to strike the tree because the man was under it, but the man was inspired with the idea of seeking shelter under a tree that was about to be struck by lightning. The tree would have been struck regardless of whether the man had been under it or not.
Okay. Again, more of the same, right? It's important for us to understand that we don't have an exact time and date to return to the spiritual world. We have more or less an idea when we do our reincarnation planning, or the spirits that plan our reincarnation, they will have an estimate of how long we are going to live. Now, this man that is hit by lightning here, it was a wrong time, and the death would occur it would be a violent death. It would be not a natural death. But if he wasn't struck by lightning, he could be hit by a horse. At that time, there were no cars, but could be hit by a horse, could fall from a horse. Something would happen to him around that time. Could be 1 year later, could be 1 year before. So it's important to understand it's not predetermined. It's just an estimate. And we, according to our free will, we can extend or reduce our life estimate according to our actions, right? So, you know, we know how can we affect our physical life nowadays, right? You smoke, you live an unhealthy life that can cause your to abbreviate your physical life here. Or, you are that on the other side, if you are doing such a good job and you are making so much progress and being important to the community, to humanity, or different aspects, the spirits can help you live longer, which is what's said to have happened with Chico Xavier, that lived 10 years longer. And with Divaldo is happening right now, right? He turned 95 and still there. Because, and he mentioned that he was given an extra time here. So what is important to understand here is nothing is really written in stone. The only thing written in stone yet is that, yes, we're going to go back to the spiritual world. That's a fact. That's the natural law. Now, when it doesn't really need to be, exactly on a date. So whenever we see exact predictions of things to happen, we should always doubt it, seriously doubt it, because there is no fixed dates, right? So in this case here, it's an opportunity. The man goes under the tree is hit by lightning, and he goes back to the spiritual world because it was his time. But it happened, it's not that he was taken to the light that was going to be taken to the tree that was going to be hit by lightning. It's not that the tree was hit by lightning because he was under the tree. That's the important distinction that we have to understand here. Okay? Questions here?
What I tried to stress last week is that the spirit is still act on us, our minds, our thoughts, not on inanimate objects. In general, there's always exception. So in this case, of course, now we know that the lightnings are attracted by the atomic structure of the facility. So that's why we advise to not go on that tree when it is strong. Right? So this people do not know that could be influenced. What was the tree finding? Which was a mistake. If you do any law of nature, say no, but storm should not go on that tree. That is not happen. Right? It is still free.
I was remembering someone in the Fox family, I don't know if it was one of the sisters or the mother, was hit by lightning twice and didn't die in both times. I remember Sarah telling this story.
João,
Yeah.
I could not really hear Elmo very well. He needs to be closer to the microphone.
Okay, yeah, I'll put the microphone closer, and I'll ask Elmo to talk louder next time.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Philip. Yeah, you guys need to advise us. We still need to learn how. And now that we have the air conditioner here, it's we need to get used to it. You guys need to hear when people from the public talks here. So I'm talking louder than normal, also trying to talk over the air conditioner, and I think you are hearing me well, right?
I hear you well. We don't hear the air conditioner.
Okay, good. All right, next.
A nasty person hurls an object at someone that nearly hits the person, but does not make contact. Has the object been deflected by a friendly spirit? If the individual aimed at was not destined to be hit, a friendly spirit would have suggested the thought of stepping outside the trajectory of the object, or would have impacted the enemy's sight to give that individual poor aim. Once thrown, the object follows its line of projection.
Again, for us too, we need to understand that the spirits are not going to deviate the object, but the spirits can influence us, right? So, sometimes when you think you hear a noise, or you think you saw someone and you turn around or you move, that can be what the spirits do, call our attention, and we look around or we move and the object doesn't hit us. What they're reinforcing here, yes, they can influence us to avoid this situations, but they are not going to deflect the objects. That's what's important to understand, right? And again, we may not listen to them. We may be so focused that we don't deviate ourselves or our heads and get hit by the object, which can happen also, right? Sorry, I jumped a lot here. 529, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
What should we think of the magic bullets we read about in folklore and legends that always reach their mark? They are the product of the imagination. Human beings love the spectacular and are not satisfied by the wonders of nature. Can spirits who want us to lead our lives toward a different direction obstruct the work of spirits who direct the events of our lives? What God has willed must take place. If a delay or interference occurs, it can only be by God's allowance.
Well, when we read God has willed or God allowance, we have to remember it's natural laws, right? The language of the time, Kardec had to use the God allows and God wills because it was already a big change, the Spiritist language, so we couldn't change everything because it would be very difficult for us to understand. But nowadays we have to understand there are natural laws. The natural laws are perfect, so we cannot deviate from the natural laws. Now, there are no magic bullets. I don't know, they're probably an expression of the time. We have the expression magic bullets here. The Spirit says that's a product of our imagination. But what we do know is that we have spirits around us on both sides, the good spirits and the not so good spirits or the evil spirits that want us to follow their guidance and their directions. And the good spirits will try to inspire us, to protect us according to our connection with them. The other ones are going to try to force us to go the different route, and we're going to talk about them here in the next questions. Depends on ourselves. Again, we use our free will, make our choices. In the end, it's always our free will that will do the work for us. Okay. Okay, Philip.
Can flippant and mocking spirits cause pesky annoyances that defeat our projects and upset our plans? In other words, are they the architects of what we commonly call the petty troubles of human life? These spirits take pleasure in causing disturbances that test your patience, but they tire of this game when they see that they are unsuccessful in perturbing you. However, it would be neither just nor correct to blame them for all your disappointments. Your own recklessness causes the majority of them. When your china breaks, it is much more likely to have been caused by your own clumsiness rather than by a spirit. Why do spirits cause pesky annoyances? It is out of personal animosity, or they attack the first person who crosses their path for no other reason than pure spite. They act due to both these motives. In some cases, they are enemies whom you have made during your present or former life, and who pursue you accordingly. In others, they act without any fixed objective in mind.
Okay, so like Paco is not here today, but like Paco says, it's just us on the other side, right? So don't we have people here that just want to annoy others out of fun, out of, or out of disgust with themselves and the world? So these people go back to the other side and they don't change. They continue to try to disturb for personal reasons or for fun. So we have to understand that we have spirits on the other side that will try to disturb us. Now, how can we avoid? It's our own free will. If we don't allow them to connect to us, right? If you know, he talks about the China. When our China breaks, we start cursing at the China, cursing at fate, cursing at everybody. We start connecting. We allow the spirits to connect to us, and it will only increase the annoyance, right? If you know, we look at the China and say, oh well, it was old anyway. Yeah, I have others. You know, like Jussara normally says, well, if this is what this is the worst that's going to happen, I'm fine with it, right? The glass half full, right? So with these small things, we don't allow them to connect to us. And not allowing them to connect to us avoids more difficult situations, right? It's difficult, of course, at our level of evolution. We are going to have the ups and downs of our lives, and we are going to have to be disturbed. And so we are going to allow the spirits to sometimes influence us. But as long as we are aware of it and we try to avoid it, we make the effort, consciously make the effort to protect ourselves, it will reduce the numbers of time that they will cause disturbance. And but you know, we have to understand that they will try to affect us sometimes indirectly. So we are we protect and surround ourselves, right? But our partner, children, siblings, parents do not protect themselves, and so they know how to go to them, so they will get at us indirectly, right? So sometimes when we have these problems with the family, we have to think again: is this something that is being caused by some personal causes by spirits or not, or is just some, you know, sometimes a family fight is just a family fight. It's not, there's no spirit involved. It's just us, and we have our own problems. Yeah, it's easier, you know, once we come to spiritism, it's easy to blame everything on the spirits, and we have to remember to sometimes blame ourselves, right? But you know, it's here is to learn how to protect ourselves, to learn that it is possible, and they will never break the laws of nature, the natural laws, right? So they're not going to throw a stone at you directly. Okay, questions there? No? Okay.
Does the turpitude of those who have done us harm on earth end in the physical life? In many cases, they realize the unfairness of their actions and regret the wrong they have done to you. In other cases, they continue to pursue you with their animosity, if God permits them to do so, as a continuation of your trial. A, can we put an end to this sort of torture? If so, by what means? In many cases, you can do so by praying for them. Make them good in spite of their wickedness, and you will gradually make them see that they are wrong. In all cases, they will stop attacking you if you can show them that you are able to rise above their behavior with patience, seeing that they gain nothing by their misdeeds. Experience proves that imperfect spirits wreak their vengeance from one life to another, and that they are forced to make amends sooner or later for the wrongs we may have done to others.
Yeah, so this question, we know that the persecutions, the obsessions, the the problems that we have, we carry them back to the spiritual world, right? The death of the physical body may, as they say here in the beginning, may cause them to realize that the things that happened here were small things, that at the end of the physical life makes us reevaluate what we're doing here. But many times the hatred, the animosity, we and them, we carry that to the spiritual world, and we will take opportunities to try to avenge ourselves or to persecute those that hurt us, because now we can do it from the invisible side, right? Or we are attached, remember what we studied Sunday on liberation, the Saldanha's mother and wife and daughter-in-law, right? That were attached to his son, because they didn't know better. They didn't know where to go, right? So they continue attached to him, and they all feed on each other, and they all become sick, right? So this can happen. And the Spirit says very clear, you can do so by praying. Prayer is always the medicine. Prayer will always help us overcome our difficulties. Sincere prayer. Again, the prayer that we had on Sunday on the book, it was such a beautiful prayer, right? I copied it, I sent to Jussara. She's going to write an article, and I told her to read about the prayer and use it. Because it is, the prayer, to pray for everyone, the persecuted and the persecutors, right? Prayer, again, it's prayer. So if we, if we are in doubt, pray. If you don't understand what's happening to you, pray. If you are in a state of confusion, pray. That, because if you pray sincerely, help will come. Remember André Luiz in Nosso Lar, the beginning, right? When the lower zones. How does he finally receives assistance after 8 years? When he prays, right? When he never prayed when he was incarnated. He didn't follow any religion, but he reached a point that he was struggling there, that he started sincerely praying, and help was there. And then remember, he asks his mother, where were you all this time? And she answers him, I was always there. You didn't want to connect to me, right? So that's important also. The spirits, the protecting spirits will be always ready to help us, but we need to open the door for them to come. So imperfect spirits will try to influence us. It's on us to not allow them to connect to us.
Okay.
Okay.
Do spirits have the power to divert misfortunes from certain persons and to attract prosperity to them? Only to a certain extent, as some misfortunes are predestined by providence. What spirits can do is lessen your suffering by helping you to bear your trials and tribulations with patience and resignation. Know that you are often responsible for avoiding pain and suffering, or at least reducing them. God has given you intelligence, and when you use it, you enable friendly spirits to help you most effectively by way of suggesting constructive ideas. They only help those who help themselves, as dictated by the Bible. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be open to you. You must remember that what appears to be a misfortune is not always such, for its ultimate goal is often greater than the seeming evil. You do not always recognize this because you are inclined to think only of the present and your own immediate satisfaction.
Yeah, there's a lot of good information here, right? Spirits are there to help and assist us. And one important thing is spirits can lessen our suffering by helping us to bear our trials and tribulations with patience and resignation. When we are struggling and we elevate ourselves in prayer and we ask for help and assistance, they will be there. They will be giving us strength to overcome the challenges. The problem is that we are used to only ask for help, and we forget to thank them when we receive the assistance. We forget to, the prayer has to be to thank, to ask, and to worship, to praise, right? We worship God, we ask for help, and we give thanks for what we have received. Most people only pray to ask, right? Forget everything else. And once they are in a comfortable situation, they stop praying and they forget about it. So what the Spirits tells us here is for us to understand the importance of doing our part. Seek and you'll find, knock and the door will be open to you. Trusting that the protecting spirits will be there to help and assist us, will be there to provide what we need if we open ourselves to them, and understanding that sometimes what's happening to us, maybe not what we want, but it may be what we need, which is always what we tend to forget, right? Experiences, difficult experiences that we go through are opportunities of growth. Looking back in the future, right, when we all look back at our lives, we'll see that that these opportunities that we had to grow, and we can do it now, right? When we are in times of peace and calm, we can look back and see things that happen in our lives that were useful for our growth, right? If we are able to look at our spiritual growth, right? That if some things wouldn't happen, we wouldn't be forced to make changes and make decisions that would force us to grow. So it's important for us to be conscious that, again, this incarnation is short. It's one in an infinite number, almost infinite number, that everything will pass. This will also pass, like Chico was told by Jesus' mother, and we need to understand, accept, have resignation, have acceptance. When we look at everything that is happening in the world right now, and we see a lot of difficult situations out there, we see more, seems to have more problems, more difficulties. These are all opportunities that we are having to grow and to evolve. When we look back when we are back in the spiritual world or our next incarnation, we look back in this time and we'll see why this had to happen. Why? Now that we're in the middle of it, it's very difficult to understand the purpose of a lot of things that are happening, but they happen for a reason. There are opportunities for spirits to last opportunities on earth. There are opportunities for us to exercise charity, to give ourselves to others that, remember what I always say here, we're lazy. If we are not forced to do things, we get very comfortable in our comfort zone and make no effort, right? The majority of us, not all of us, of course. There are those that do it, the more evolved ones that do it out of their own evolutionary path. But most of us, we need to be pushed. And the struggles are the opportunities that come to us that we have to use for growth. Okay. All right. Can spirits help you win the lottery?
Can spirits obtain the gifts of fortune for us if we ask them? They may sometimes agree to such a request as a trial for you. However, they often refuse, just as you deny the selfish demands of a child. When such favors are granted, is it by good spirits or bad ones? Both. The condition of the request and whether it is granted depends on the intention. Acceptance is more frequent on the part of spirits who try to lead you astray and find an easy means of doing so through the material pleasures attained by wealth.
Yes. Be careful what we wish for, right? Because the more evolved spirits, our guardian angels, our protecting spirits, they have the long-term view of our evolutionary journey. So they know what is good for us in the long term. You know, they know that becoming rich in this incarnation is more likely to cause us harm than cause us good. So they are not going to want for us to achieve things that are going to make our life more complicated than they are. On the contrary, inferior spirits, anything that they can help us cause trouble to us, they will try to influence. So as they say here, they will try to lead you astray and find an easy means of doing so through the material pleasures. The material things are very easy to distract us from our spiritual evolutionary journey, because it caught us our attention, our focus, and distracts us from this spiritual journey. Again, there's nothing wrong in having what is needed to give us a comfortable life. And again, a comfortable life is different for each one of us, because it depends on how we, are upbringing and different sort of things. But the problem is when we focus only on that and forget all the rest. And when you have a lot of wealth, it becomes a distraction, and it becomes something that it's very easy to distract from the spiritual path. In the same way, when you are struggling every day to put food on your table, you are struggling to survive. It's also a very difficult situation, because you only think about that. You cannot think about anything else. So that's also a very difficult struggle, right? When you don't have the bare necessities. So that's why the Spirit tells us also, right? To give everything and to leave everything behind is not a solution, because then you become a burden to society instead of being a productive member of society. So we have to find balance always. And again, some people have the ability of use their wealth to help and assist others. We have examples of rich people that are very helpful. Again, it's not the majority, unfortunately, because we are still too much attached to the material world. But these are opportunities, and there are always cause and consequence, right? So going back to what I said in the beginning, be careful what you wish for, right? Because the spirits you will always have spirits that will try to help you, depending on what you wish to do, right? And they help, you never know if that's the help you want, right? And then sometimes when you open your door to them, then to close the door is very difficult. That's the problem also. Okay.
It's almost crazy to ask in our society today, is win the lottery is a good thing. Right? Somebody can say, you guys gotta be crazy, right? But it may not be.
Yeah.
We know that very well. maybe good for one, maybe not so good for another one,
Yeah.
someone else, right? So I think the good spirits, one who wants what's best for us, what we need to go through, may provide the opportunity for both cases, because we are ready to deal with the work exercise of assistência mesmo. We may be charitable with the power that we have, financial power that we have on our hand. On the other side, it is a trial that you are ready to go through, to face the difficulty of managing that power, because it is a lot of power and you have to be able to manage.
Yeah.
And not everybody is able to. And actually, unfortunately, most of us are not.
Yeah, the spirits tells us, right? In one of our incarnations, we are going to be rich. We are going to have to go through the experience, because we need to learn how to use our wealth. So, you know, so the sooner we do, the better for us, right? But yeah, they, you know, the statistics say that your level of happiness, if you win the lottery, after 6 months, you are back to the old one. And most people, after a couple of years, they lose everything that they want. Most people, again, not everybody. There are those that use it well, of course. Okay. All right, next. Oops. Yeah, still learning to deal with this here. There you go, 534.
When obstacles seem destined to get in the way of our plans, is it always through the influence of spirits? Such obstacles are sometimes thrown in your way by spirits, but they can more often be attributed to your own poor decisions. Social standing and character have a large role in your successes and failures. If you persist in following a path that is not the right one for you, you become your own wicked genius.
Again, the same thing, right? We love to blame the spirits. Everything is the spirit's responsibility, is the spirit's fault. And they say here, most of the cases is our own poor decisions or our own choices that play a role in our successes or failures, right? We gave this example, right? I have no musical abilities. I like music, but I have no music abilities. If I decide to become a pianist, I'm going to die of hunger, right? Because I have no ability. I can learn, of course, everybody can learn, but am I going to be able to live, you know, being a pianist? You know, no, not a chance, right? So, and then I start blaming the spirits. You know, I'm making an effort. Why I'm not being helped? Oh, well, I have no talents, so it's my own fault, right? It's a silly example, but that's exactly what we have to reflect on, right? We need to look at ourselves and accept our limitations and understand our strengths and use them to progress and to find comfort. We try to do things we're not capable of, you know. You can learn things, right? I never thought 20 years ago that I would be directing any studies. I would refuse to accept that notion. No way, Jose. I used to say when Jussara was already trying to bring me on board. Here I am, you know. I learn, I'm still struggling, but learning. But so you can get somewhere, right? You can make your efforts, but you know, I was talking to a friend, and he said he's around my age, and he went to play softball yesterday and injured his hand. And I told him, listen, you're too old for that. Don't try. He said, I know, but you know, I was fun. Again, we have to know our limitations. I'm not going to run a marathon. There's no way I'm going to be able to do it. I don't like anyway. But you know, it's that's what the spirits are telling us. And then I try to run a marathon, I fail, and then I blame the spirits for it. It's my own, you know, my own doing, right? So Okay. All right. Next.
535. When anything good happens to us, should we thank our guardian spirits for it? First, thank God, without whose permission nothing takes place. And next, thank the good spirits who have acted as God's representatives. What would happen if we neglected to thank them? That which happens to ingrates. There are individuals who neither pray nor give thanks and seem to succeed in everything they do in spite of this. Yes, but just wait and see the end of their lives. They pay dearly for the fleeting prosperity that they have not merited. The more they receive, the more they have to account for.
Again, going back to thank, right? The first part, the second part of the prayer, which is thanking God, right? Praising God, praising the spirits, thank the good spirits, because we are never alone. We are always assisted. And everything that happens to us, good that happens to us, we should remember that we always play our part, but we have our protecting spirits to guide us, to inspire us. And those that neglect to thank them, well, it's cause and consequence, right? We are going to face the consequence of our own actions. So if we receive a lot and we don't, the end here is, if we receive a lot and we don't use this to help others, without charity, there is no salvation, right? Again, what is this salvation? I'm studying for Sunday, I'm going to talk about this on a gospel. The salvation, it's not an external thing. That's what we need to understand. The salvation is our own happiness that comes from inside, that we are going to find in the world with our own actions, our vibrations, because by doing charity, we are elevating our vibrational level. We are helping those around us that in turn will help us back, thanking us, that will make us find ourselves in a better place in the spiritual world when we return there. That's the salvation, right? It's not an external salvation that God is going to save us from hell. That's not the salvation. The salvation on why without charity there is no salvation is something that we save ourselves from the difficulties that we could place in our path if we don't do the right things. So that's what they are talking about here, that they pay dearly for the fleeting prosperity that they have not merited, meaning they are going to face the consequence of not making good use of the good fortunes that fell on their way, that they deserve. Yes, it was an experience to go through the fortune or the health, whatever they received, but the use we make of it is what's going to make us save ourselves from a difficult consequence when we are back in the spiritual world. So that's our spiritual progress. That is the salvation. And without charity, what is charity? Charity in the ample sense of helping others with anything that we can, with our time, with our money, with our patience, with all the things that means charity in how Spiritism describes it to us, in the most ample sense, right? Benevolence, how is it, Elmo? You know, I always forget it. Benevolence, indulgence, and forgiveness. Yes, I always forget the three words. That's the true definition of charity according to Spiritism. So without charity, there is no salvation, but there is not all. We also need to learn and to evolve, but the charity is a very important part. So that's what the spirits are telling us here. Okay? Questions, comments here?
I'm glad you brought the charity into the equation here, because by reading this question over here, the answer over here, you could ask, what about the atheist? What about the agnostic? What about the non-believers? Are they condemned? They're not gonna pray. Are they great? As long as you, what you receive, you put it to work, you spread, it's upgrading itself. You know, when Jesus said, when you fed the hungry, it was feeding. When you clothed the naked, it was hiding that they were clothed. So it's not a prayer, not necessary to have the, our Father's things, but to distribute what we receive. Because regardless, it doesn't take much for us to reason that there is a component of everything that happens to us that is beyond us. That is outside of our control, that is outside of our potentials. It happens. Just the fact that I can now have this conversation, it's pretty much beyond us. We choose to be here. But there's a lot of things that happened that allow one of us not to be here. But just to be grateful for you to be here is a recognition that there is powers out there that is much greater than us. Regardless of all our best effort, if those powers didn't want us to prosper, if they want us to, we would not. That recognition is an exercise of humility. And if you are able to pass around what you receive to those who perhaps needs more than you, that's the prayer itself.
Yeah. Saint Francis of Assisi said, right? Go out there and pray, and if necessary, use words. So, you know, words are not necessary for a true prayer, right? And again, Mother Teresa, right? Talking to what do you say to God? I don't say anything, I just listen. What does God say to you? God doesn't say anything, he just listens, right? No words. Yeah. Okay, we still have 10 minutes to go, so we can start the natural phenomena, role of spirits in natural phenomena.
Our natural phenomena, which we consider a disruption of the elements due to chance, or is there a purpose behind them? There is a reason for everything. Nothing takes place without God's permission. Do these phenomena always have a reference to humankind? Sometimes they have a direct reference to humans, but they often have no other purpose than to reestablish the balance and harmony of the physical forces of nature. We acknowledge that God's will must be the primary cause of these phenomena. But since we know that spirits can in fact act upon matter and that they are agents of God's will, we would ask whether some among them could not exert an influence the elements in order to rouse, calm, and direct them. But this is obvious. It could not be otherwise. God does not exercise direct action upon matter. God has faithful agents in every degree of worlds.
Yeah, so natural phenomena happens according to the natural law, God's law. Nothing takes place without God's permission. Nothing takes place outside the natural law. There is a reason for everything. So the famous phrase, if a tree falls in the middle of the forest and nobody hears, did it really fall?
No, it doesn't make a sound.
Does it make a sound? This is natural phenomena, right? It happens. The universe is always in movement. I was reading the introduction yesterday of the book by Divaldo Franco that we were studying, spiritual, forgot the name now. in the one of the collection of planetary transition, spiritual perturbations. The introduction, Manuel Filomeno de Miranda says that in the universe, there is never chaos. Everything happens for a reason. Everything is organized. Now, when we look at the universe, of course, if we want to believe that the universe was created out of chaos, it's a lack of understanding of the creator. So the creator created the universe, and in it, everything that happens. So the natural phenomena does not happen because we are here and to interfere with us. We are the ones that may be interfering and causing natural phenomena nowadays, climate change and all this, which is another discussion. But to say that the phenomena always have a reference to humankind, it's kind of being, a very, what's the word? Presumptuous, right? So what the causes of the natural phenomena is, as the spirits say here, is to reestablish the balance and harmony of the physical forces of nature. We know Earth has to adjust itself, and we know it took some billion years for it to be inhabitable for human beings, right? We have, for forms of life to begin on Earth, it took, I don't remember, 1-2 billion years. And the very basic forms of life started here some 2 billion years ago, 3 billion, I don't remember exactly, or 1 billion. Sorry? 2 point something, right? And we, as we are here for 40,000 years in this human condition, right? 10,000 years us as spirits here on Earth, no more than that, because we are all aliens coming from starting somewhere else, right? So, the phenomena always occurred. It didn't have anything to do with us, and will continue to have nothing to do with us besides the ones that we cause, the harm that we cause, that we are going to face the consequences. Again, if we destroy the Earth, what's going to happen is that we are going to have to go to a different planet to do a better job with more difficult conditions, because we didn't use the opportunity that was given to us on this planet. Now, when we talk about the influence of spirits, we know that God creates everything, but from God, you have all the spirits that work under the direct order from God, the perfect spirits, and under the perfect spirits, you have all the others, until you have the spirits that act on nature, that sometimes are spirits that have no idea what they are doing, but they are agents of the more evolved spirits, right? When you ask if the bees know that they are doing honey for the benefit of nature, they don't. Aren't they agents of God indirectly in the phenomena of nature? They are, right? So if you compare then and you think of spirits, you see that there are spirits that are also responsible for the fulfillment of the natural laws and involved in everything, even if they are completely unaware of it. Okay? Now, everything happens from God, and it is not God directly. It has to have intermediaries. So that's how we see how we go from God to the natural phenomena. So the natural phenomena will have spirits working on it, responsible for it, but maybe unaware of it. And I mentioned that because we're going to study this. It will have to be next week because we are running out of time here. But but it is there is a, when they say role of spirits in natural phenomena, there are spirits involved in all natural phenomena. Yes. Okay.
And just make sure that those spirits also, they have to abide by the natural laws. So in case that we always bring natural phenomena to natural disasters, so I tend to look at the bad thing, right? Is human causing it? No, he is not causing it. Human is giving nature the fuel for those events to have more often, more frequent. We are providing nature with all this energy, what's required for the natural phenomena to happen, and it's following the natural laws. It's happening with more frequency and with more vigor, with more strength as well. That we are doing. But following, obeying the natural laws. And we could reverse those.
Yeah, and you know, the fact that we are conscious of the problems we are creating, because before we were creating the problems, we're not even aware of the damage we're doing to Earth. And now at least there is a number of people that are working actively to prevent that. Still, we have a long way to go, and still we have much to do and to improve. But at least we are aware of the problem and we are addressing the problem. So maybe we will find solutions and we will be able to improve the situation. That's we work towards it, right? Again, we have to understand that those that are concerned about the destruction of Earth, they have to be alarmists, right? They have to raise their voice, and they have to give these very doomsday scenarios, so we pay attention to them. Because if they say, oh no, you can continue to do what you are doing because we're okay, the damage is small, so nobody will do anything. Again, we don't do anything unless we are forced to, right? So they have to do that. They have to scream. They have to make doomsday scenarios for us. They have to say things are going to get worse if we don't do anything. Sometimes it's an exaggeration, but it is necessary at our stage of evolution. And we need to understand and accept that. Okay. Okay. All right. So that's it for today. So what we have this weekend, on Saturday, we have a lecture by Dan Assisi. You guys know him. It's a very good lecturer. It's called The Miracle of Happiness. Jesus' First Miracle. And this is at 11 a.m. on Saturday through the United States Spiritist Federation, YouTube page, Facebook, and the International Spiritist Council. Okay. On Sunday, this is the second Sunday of the month, we'll be studying the Gospel according to Spiritism. You remember where we are, Almono?
Yes. Inequality of riches.
Inequality of riches. We talked about it today a little bit, so we go further and deeper on Sunday in the study of the Gospel. Okay, so